Well, hello everyone. This is Toni Weel with Sarah from Virtuous Unicorns and Gary Parent, and I'm so happy to have him here, and I'll explain why soon. And of course, I have to tell you, this is from cloudy, windy, breezy, stormy Florida. I love the weather. I absolutely love the weather. And it's not even that it reminds me of the Netherlands, where it was usually very breezy and very wet. Here it's actually warm. It's high 80s into the 90s, low 90s even. It's unbelievable. And with that breeze, it's amazing to be outside, see all the leaves going and the bending branches. It's branches. It's beautiful. Anyway, we were going to talk today about it's for a lot of people they call it the lemonade diet. It is the master cleanse, and the first time I learned about it was by, and of course I don't, oh yeah, here I have the name of the person or who wrote the book, and that was called Stanley Burroughs. Now, I did this master cleanse 10 years ago, and I had no clue what I was doing. I started this, I had a heart attack the year before. I had a broken femur with all the problems for my hip, and I was like, I need to do something. So this came in front of me, and it seemed quite easy. And I had done a water fast when I was in my 20s. So I thought, yeah, I can do this. So I started, let's do 10 days. And then it was like, oh, I can do 20 days. And oh, I can do 30 days. And oh, I can do more. So let's see how long I am going to do it. And the key was I wanted to have, that was the idea then, to have my tongue pink. And that meant that I was, detox and I had done what I needed to do. Well, it wasn't that simple, and my tongue did not turn pink, but my gums were actually turning white. So that was my reason to stop. And I'm sure Gary will explain why that happened and what happened because I actually did it to a T. I was like, I was so exact with what I was doing. And but I enjoyed it. I didn't find it difficult at all. At that time, and this is actually funny, I was a caregiver for an older gentleman, and we had a high tea for his, I think, 99 or 100 birthday party. I'm not quite sure. It was a party that I set up for him with about 100 people. So there were a lot of dishes to be made, and I made everything myself, stuff that I normally wouldn't even eat. And I did it all without tasting anything at all. I stuck to my lemonade diet. I was pretty proud of it, and I know I can, I can easily do it again. So we're going to talk about, not me, about the lemonade diet, what it does in your body. But I just mentioned to Gary before we opened the chat up is that going back to the video we did with him, what was called breath work, and Gary showed us some great breathing techniques and some very simple exercises that are effective for the whole body. And I think pretty much everybody can do them, and it's easy. But that there are people who have when they do the breath work, then that they get heart palpitations. And he was just before we started, he was explaining to me why that happened, what is happening in the body. So I think we'll go first. We go into that and let him explain it again because this is important for us to know. So we do a little, extra on the breath work because this is something that will help us with healing. And it's a day, you do it every day. I mean, you stop breathing, you stop. There's nothing there. Now, breathing the right way is important. So, Gary, please explain that again. And I know we will do a lot of people a big favor with that once we understand what is exactly going on in our bodies.
So thank you very much. Thank you for that amazing introduction. I appreciate being here. This is my second time on the show. I love it. So heart palpitations, okay, this is an electrical event, and our breath is electrical. It's electrical to the point that if you have a weak, let's say a weak arm, right, and it's an electrical thing, it will actually rebuild that electrical conductivity down through the arm and strengthen the arm back up. Energy flows where attention goes, but also it can be counteracted through fear. So if you're having heart palpitations, this is, like I said, it's an electrical event. And when you breathe, if you're actually breathing like in through the nose, nice deep belly breath, well, you're starting to put stress on the system, and it actually opens up the parasympathetic, which is rest, digest, and heal. But if you're in a fear state, the breath is trying to pull you back to the parasympathetic, where you're I wouldn't say stuck in the sympathetic, but that's kind of what I call it, is stuck in the sympathetic side of the electrical system. It's going to fight you, and it's going to bring up emotions, because every breath has an emotion attached to it. So when you think about anger, right? Anger, frustration, depression, these are all breaths that are short and shallow. So the body is actually lacking oxygen. Happiness, joy, laughter, those are all an added oxygen into the body, because when you laugh, your whole body is shaking and you're breathing deep. Same thing with joy and happiness. These raise the oxygen in the body, where anger and fear, and they lower the oxygen in the body. And this is an emotional state, and it's all connected to your breath. You could be, when you're born, you could have every mineral, every enzyme, every electrolyte, everything that your body needs to survive. And if you don't get that first breath, which is in, it doesn't turn your body on. You're breathing in from the electromagnetic field, the plasma, right? The ionized, I call it ionization, right? You're pulling that into your body, and it's turning your electrical system on. And bam, all of a sudden you're alive. Well, this is a heart, because the heart starts beating. Doesn't have anything to do with the brain. It's the heart. And as we get trained in and programmed in what we would call normal civilization, and I don't have a problem with it, except for this one thing, they're creating fear in us. And they go against nature. There's definitely going against nature right now, and we are nature. So we end up here instead of here. And what we're trying to do is get the cells back in alignment with nature. And that takes oxygen, hydration, and nutrition. When we get that right for our body, because our body is like a petri dish, right? When we get that back in our body, and our cells and our mitochondria, which is the engine of the body, they're all just a mini us. And nobody knows how many cells we have. And anybody that says any different, just go listen to a bunch of doctors, because they all have different numbers for how many cells there are in the body. And it doesn't matter. What matters is that they're all firing properly. There's a magnetic draw there from the field. And the sicker the cell gets, the less energy there is in there, because there's less oxygen, hydration, and nutrition, because it can't get in. So it's important to understand that if you're having heart palpitations, you might be breathing too hard. And it's time to kind of let that fear go. and just breathe. Even if you breathe in through your nose so slow that you can't even feel it going through your nostrils, and you're doing a belly breath, okay, you're dropping the diaphragm. And what's it doing? It's relaxing what's above it, the heart and the lungs, and it's massaging the organs and glands. 2/3 of our fluid is right here. And as it gets stagnant, let's say, it starts to break down a cell's ability to regenerate properly, to reproduce, because that's what cells do, right? So in the beginning, before you were here, you had a mom and a dad, a sperm and an egg, right? And when they got together, they created you. Well, while you're in the womb, those cells are dividing and creating hearts and lungs and tongues and everything, right? So when the mom and the baby, or the baby's fully developed, cells do what cells do. They split. And then you have two groups of cells, a mom and a child. And this is how all of nature, because everything that is alive is made of cells. And the healthier those cells are when we eat them, the healthier we become, which brings me to lemons. They have seedless lemons, seedless grapes, seedless everything, right? They're trying to get rid of the seeds and everything. If you eat seedless, you become seedless and no more reproduction. And give you an idea of how dramatic that is, a seedless lemon tree will live about 40 or 50 years. A seeded lemon tree, seeds inside the lemon, will last 80 to 100 years. Now, if we eat seedless right now, we're not really going to feel the effects, but it's making our reproductive areas weaker. And the next generation and the next generation is only going to go so many before everybody's sterile, because that's what a seedless grape or a seedless lemon is. It's sterile. So we have to be careful what we're consuming. We want it from nature, by nature, ripened by the sun, and grounded to the earth. The most important way, which is not something that we do, but animals do it because they can't pick it. If you pick it and eat it right there, it still has full charge, full energy. But if you pick it 2 weeks before it's ripe and gas it and cover it with a peel, which they say you can't get off, and that's a lie. It's more difficult, but it is possible to remove that. So as we're eating these foods, we're corrupting our own system. We're not made to eat synthetic stuff. We want it sun ripened, and the best way to eat it is to leave it on the tree and bite it, because we're grounded at that point. And our body needs to be grounded to get rid of electrical charges in our body that are causing complications. And the earth will take that out of us and leave us a lot more balanced electrically. Okay. And the breath is the electrical charge in, and the earth is the electrical charge out for anything that is causing complications in the body. Inflammation cannot exist in a grounded body. That's why you don't really see inflammation in animals. When I'm out in the water and I'm doing a cold plunge, my feet are on the earth. The cold is pushing the blood into the core, where it can feed your organs and glands like it can't do normally. And it pushes oxygen up into the brain. And that's a lot of fun, but you have to be able to do it. And so people that can, like, I can only put my toe in the water, well, you have to make the decision that you're going to make the next step and go to your ankles and then go to your knees and then go to your hips and then just plunge in and leave your head above water. Do your 3 to 6 minutes if you can. If you can't, don't worry about it. This isn't a time thing. Time only exists in our world here, right? And that's perfectly good. It keeps things in order. People that can remember. But when you're in the water and the cold is going in and all oxygen is being pushed up into your brain, that's a really good thing. We never do breath work in the water or driving a car. Very seldom standing, unless like in my Qigong classes, I tell people if they get lightheaded because we're standing, sit down. If you want to sit down first to keep from getting lightheaded, or you may still get lightheaded, but you're on the floor with your legs folded, and you're safer that way. So I've had people say, no, I can do it standing, and they start to get lightheaded and they sit down then. So we're always watching to make sure that each other is okay. I can do my breath work standing. That's not a problem, but I've been doing it for a long time. So I understand the volume that you breathe in is important, and how hard you breathe in and out is extremely important. To whether you're sitting in a chair, laying on the floor, Wim Hof breath, which is belly, chest, and then your shoulders like this, and then you exhale just as soon as you breathe in. Okay, and you want to make weird noises when you're doing it. You know, it's almost like an obscene phone call or something. Don't be afraid to to make noises when you're breathing. You know, whatever it is to get it in there. Drop that diaphragm when it comes back, and when it's dropped, the heart relaxes, so we can actually get rid of high blood pressure. And then when you exhale, the diaphragm goes back up, and it helps pump the blood. And a lot of people don't believe that the heart is a pump. They believe it's just a vortex, and that the diaphragm and the lungs are actually making the blood move through the body. Because when you breathe in, the lungs don't breathe. They're just sacs. It's the rib cage expanding and contracting. That's what fills the lungs. So people get set in their ways and you get stuck in a certain time period. Their rib cages aren't flexible, and they have a certain breath that they have, and they get stuck. People who are curious about life and are engaged in life, they're breathers. Like, they get excited when they have joy, they have happiness. You know, people that laugh a lot. You've heard of laughter killed my cancer. Well, you're moving your lymph and you're moving the blood, and when you slap like this, not just once, but take a few times, stem cells, blood and lymph come here. And any cells that are bad or that need help, those stem cells will help regenerate, or they'll move them along so that a new generation can take over, and that generation will be in better shape. If you notice in the videos, because I've been videoing, this will be day 4, I think, of getting in the water. When I get out, my skin is bright red. Bright red. That's blood flushing to the skin. So it's very good for your skin to do cold plunges. And for people that don't have a lake or an ocean to go in, a bathtub, if you have a bathtub, fill it full of cold water and lay down in it. A cold shower, you know, and like I said, 3 to 6 minutes. If you can only do one, do one. If you can, you know, you got to take a deep breath, especially in a shower. You know, you turn it on cold and you take a deep breath and you jump in and you deal with it, but breathe. And when I'm in the water and I'm breathing, very gentle breaths, long, direct breaths. You can breathe into the nose, out through the mouth, in through the mouth, out through the nose. People that have problem with sinuses, breathing, okay? This is something that we can do right here, actually. So breathe in through your nose. Nice deep belly breath, okay? And exhale. Now, just slap up across here. And then the other side. And you want to cup your hand. And then take a breath through your nose. And you'll find it's much easier to breathe. Our bodies are amazing what they can do, what they can accomplish. We just need to know how to use them. And that's what we've been led away from. We've been led away from nature. We've been led away from how to turn our body on, how to empower it, because it can reach levels that are unbelievable. And every one of us can do it because we all have the same things. But when the heart and the brain get disconnected, it disconnects the breath. And what's in the middle? Brain, heart, breath is in the middle. Our ability to communicate is in the middle. So if we're raised up in a suppressive situation where you're not allowed to speak, or you can have all kinds of thyroid problems, parathyroid, which is connective tissue, parathyroid is connective tissue. So you get weak spots in your body. Well, those are all rebuildable, and they're mostly rebuildable through proper breathing and hydration, and they're also through nutrition. And that's all being exploded right now for synthetic. Oh, you don't want to be eating something from the ground, it's dirty. Well, that dirt on there has a purpose. So, but you just wash it off. And they're killing the soils. Well, we are the soil. So the weaker the soil gets, the weaker we get, because the weaker the fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables that they're producing, that the trees and the bushes and the ground are producing. They don't have the electrical charge in them that a fully ripened plant has. So let's move into the master cleanse, okay? And this is a really important part of our hydration. It takes 60% of our available energy to digest solid food. Well, if you're only producing 70 or 80% of your available energy, and 60% goes into digesting your food, they have a word, they have words for that. It's called food coma. So when you eat a large meal, it puts you to sleep because it can't let you do your daily activities and digest the food. So the body takes over. You're out of here. And the weaker your adrenals are, because they're the energy of your body, the weaker they are, the deeper you will go into that sleep or that coma. I mean, I've seen people drool. It's amazing. But that's all it is. It's improper. It's a lack of proper hydration, nutrition, and oxygen, movement, rest. And when I say movement, I'm not talking about running 26 miles. I'm not talking about running at all, because you're burning more energy than you're producing. And when you're doing mild movements and breath work, you're producing more energy, more wave than you're using. And energy creates matter. And it's all from the heart. We speak about it all the time. It's in our everyday language. You know, I was heartbroken, I was heart sick, all these different things, right? Or I was elated. I thought my heart was going to jump right out of my chest. Well, those are oxygen levels, because your breath changes in those situations. If you really, really like get frightened, that goes to your knees. Your knees will start jumping up and down, and they can ache after. Where anger goes to the liver. And cold plunges will regenerate your liver. It'll get rid of fat, brown fat, the bad fat. And these are just simple things, and they're all free. Like the Master Cleanse costs $1, $1.50 for 32 ounces. Well, there aren't many things out there that you can do for $1, $1.50 that will actually cleanse your body on a cellular level. You know, we take a shower every day, and that's a good thing. But who's washing the inside? Because everything you're washing off on the outside that you don't want comes from the inside, because the body pushes everything out. They have 13 channels of elimination the body must use every day. And if one of those gets congested, it starts to back up in the body. And it causes dis-ease because it usually gets inflamed. It's not being fed and hydrated and oxygenated properly. And then it starts to lose its magnetic pull. It gets weaker. People that are really strong have a lot of energy. People that are really weak don't have any energy. When you look at a plant, okay, and it's dehydrated, what's it do? It slumps. You look at people and they get dehydrated, they slump. You look at a plant that can't get oxygen, it slumps. You look at people who lack oxygen, they slump. So nutrition, hydration, and oxygen. Those are the three keys to get your cells and your mitochondria up and running again. Now, what happens with that is the movement, okay? Energy creates matter. When you're dense, congested, stagnant, lack of oxygen, hydration, and nutrition, we run into fear. And fear will really stop us from doing things that would actually help our body because, well, I don't know, I've been sick for years and nothing works. Well, if that's your story, that nothing works, nothing will work because your cells are listening to you. Your heart is listening to you. What's inside heart is ear, because it's listening and it's coming out through your voice. So as these signals are being sent, you are experiencing a different breath for every one of those emotions that your heart is controlling, which is all of them. And we have two muscles right down our spine, one on each side. This is where your emotions are. And this is why our shoulders, it comes right up through and it goes right into the trapeze up on top of our shoulders and right up in to the back of our skull right here. Hopefully you could see that. So one on each side, because the body's split down the middle. This half doesn't know this half exists. This half doesn't know this half exists, which is why you can have a life-threatening disease on one side of your body and not the other. When people have a stroke, it's on one side of the body, not the other, because it's an electrical event. Everything that happens in the body is electrical. So that's why I consider myself an electrical engineer for the human body. And everything I do is about boosting the energy. So if you're sick, you're more matter than wave. You're more matter than energy. And as you correct that and it starts to come up, you will be more wave than matter. And that's when you can't feel your body. Everything just goes really smooth. That's called health. Well, it's an energetic event. It's an electrical event. So the 13 channels, step back here a little bit, are 1, 2, 3, 4, because each side is different. You can be stuffed on one side of your nose, stuffed up, and not on the other side. One ear can be plugged and not the other one. These are channels of elimination. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 front door, 11, back door. 12, your skin, which is your third kidney, it eliminates cellular waste. That's why we take showers, because it'll stink after a while, because it's actually urine. It's a cellular waste. And the last one, the most important one, is your brain. If your story says, I'm sick, I'm broke, my relationships don't work out, the older I get, the worse it seems to get. Well, if that's your story, you're manifesting that into reality, because your words are quantum energy. And as you speak it, it's going out to the universe, and the universe is reflecting it back onto you. So simply changing our story is unbelievably important. I may be sick, but with every sip of this master cleanse or whatever it is you're doing, right? With every bite of this salad or this fruit or these berries, my body gets stronger. My mind gets clearer. My digestive tract gets stronger. It's processing things. Something I'm studying right now is methylation, which happens in the gut. Methylation is the process of whatever we eat has to be broken down into usable things for the body to process and send to the cells, because the cells can't move. They can't say, I'm hungry, I'm going to go over here and eat. No, they're sitting there. And the blood is bringing everything to it. And if it can't get into it, it's called malabsorption. Well, methylation happens in the gut, right? And the sicker we get, the less methylation process we have, and it kind of flips things upside down, and we're not processing, the digestive system is not processing all that food to its optimal advantage. Master Cleanse will help reverse that and put that methylation back in place so that you're digesting properly. And there's a dimethyl glycine that just a minute, I have it right here. Now, you have to have a liver issue, but this is called TMG, dimethyl glycine. What's important about that is it starts to reverse that process of, if you're lacking, this is really for your liver. Okay, but that's what's happening. It's reversing that so that when you eat something, the digestive system is able to extract what it needs and get it into the blood so it can be carried to the cells. And you want good oxygen with that, and good hydration. With that said, let's make some master cleanse. I got it set up over here. I'm going to get you a little closer. And then we'll do some breath work. If you have questions, please ask. That looks pretty good, I think.
Yep, we can see just fine, and everybody's really enjoying all of your gnosis and everything you're providing to us. That's wonderful.
Excellent. So this lemon is the energy of the day it was picked. So the longer it sits, the less energy that there is in it. So if we go out and we pick a lemon off a tree and we cut it, that's the energy of the day, and it's updating our biological system and pulling us. What's so powerful about fruits, berries, and melons that are ripe? When we eat them, they're updating us, because it's the soil, the sun, and our ability to process it that's pulling all of the good things out of it. And this is part of doing our master cleanse is it doesn't take 60% to digest the food. It's we'll call it pre-digested. So when it goes in really fast. And it goes out, and it takes less energy to process it And that energy that you're saving is running your body and helping it heal. And you add breath work in with that. It's crazy how fast your body can regenerate itself. And even parts that, like if there's a cell in there, and let's say a thyroid, you had your thyroid out. If they left one cell in there, what cells do? They reproduce. You can actually grow a new thyroid. If like your liver, right? They operate on your liver. They can take 80% of it and it will regenerate itself. The whole idea is not to get to that point where they have to take 80% of it. Why not start regenerating it now? And that process, the methylation, is what helps that happen. So we're just going to cut this in half. Now, I didn't have a 32-ounce jar because I live on the road and most of my stuff is someplace else. So as you can see, this lemon has a seed in it. So this is seeded lemon. And on the bag, it says seedless, big letters. So just try not to get seedless lemons. If you do, use them. I'm not someone to waste a lot of things. Now, there are a lot of people, I guess, they can't squeeze a lemon like this. So they have things you can hold in your hand and you can turn them. If you have pulp in there, don't worry about it. It does add to the digestive part of it, but you need some pulp anyway. And another good thing to do is just pour some water in the lemon, let it sit for a second, and squeeze it in there. It gets more of the lemon out of the lemon skin. And this is 9.5 ionized water, been filtered 2 times. And then we'll put a little bit of maple syrup in here. I said 1 to 2 tablespoons, but it's actually to taste. So if you put 1 in, now the original Stanley Burroughs recipe calls for cayenne pepper. The first time that I did the cleanse, I did 10 days and I used cayenne, but a lot of people don't like cayenne. So 1/10 of a teaspoon is a lot. So you want to be careful with that. And if you love cayenne, you can put it as much as you want because everything in this is to taste. Okay. The only thing that you put in, like with this amount, I could do half a lemon. I put my maple syrup in. This is tea because we need more liquid, right? So the cool thing about tea is cleavers opens up the lymphatic pathways. Really important to open those lymphatic pathways. I'm going to show you 6 gates. I already showed you the 13 channels of elimination. The 6 lymphatic gates are extremely important. So we'll go over those later. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to write that down so I don't forget it. 6 pathways. Okay. So this could be cleaver's tea. It could be skullcap, which is upper certain brain and nerve. It could be marshmallow leaf, which is great for your digestive system. It could be dandelion, which is great for your kidneys and your liver. There are many things that we could use, and we just want a cup of it in there. That happens to be Earl Grey that's in there right now because I didn't have any. My herbs are in the van. Now, this is a great controversial thing right here. Himalayan salt, Celtic salt. Some people have an issue with that, but if you have weak adrenals, it helps them get back on track. because the body's already low on energy. You could do, like people say, how much? I'd say 18 grains. I mean, I'm talking little amount. If you can taste it, there's too much in there. Do it for a week and then stop, and don't do it for a week. If there's no difference, you don't have to put it in there again. But the body has to have salt, and it comes out through our sweat, and we pee it out. And because it doesn't produce salt, it needs to be replaced. Can that come in our food? Yes, but our food is being, I'm trying to say this in a kind way. Let's just say it's synthetic. And if we don't put salt in things, it's not in our food like it used to be. So we have to be careful. Now, if you don't want to use salt, don't use it at all. Don't worry about it. But I usually put a little bit in mine, and to give you an idea. Wait a minute, what am I doing here? I don't even know if you can see that, it's so little. And that's all that's going to go in there. And then we finish filling it up. Like I said, this is ionized 9.5 water. Ionized means it's charged. It'll hold a charge for about 3 days before it starts to get weaker and weaker. But this is your master cleanse. That's how simple it is to make. It's very quick. And it tastes unbelievable. It should be the best tasting, it's a lemonade basically, that you've ever had. And it's cleansing all the way down through. And when you sip it, that's what I always say when I sip it. This is helping my body heal. I may be sick right now. I may have dis-ease in my body. But with every sip of this and every breath I take, and as I ground myself to the earth, my body is healing. It doesn't have a choice. If it can degenerate, it has to regenerate. But it needs us to help it regenerate. And this is the most inexpensive thing that I have found so far that will do just that. So, cheers. This is the elixir of life right here. So let me move the camera back a little bit. We'll go over those 6 lymphatic pathways. Might have to turn you a little bit here. A little bit more, I guess. So I can stand right here. Now, hopefully you can still hear me well. And I'll move this up. Okay.
Yep, we can see you and hear you well.
All right. I love it. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever made an energy ball, but we all have the ability to do this. Okay. So we'll go over the 6 lymphatic pathways the 6 gates, lymphatic gates. So right up next to your neck right here in your collarbone, if you push there, you may feel a sore spot. This is lymphatic gate number 1. This is like, picture a 6-inch culvert, right? This is the main lymphatic pathway right here. Everything flows to this spot. So as we open these, and you can pat them and rub them and do whatever you can to get them started. Find out if they're sore. If they're sore, they're backed up. They're full. And this will help relieve that. You can, okay? Behind the ears. Right here, right behind the ear, right here. There's a little hollow spot above your jawbone. This is lymphatic gate number 2. This drains the head down to the culvet. Lymphatic gate number, and that's on both sides because we have two sides of our body, not one. Right where your shoulder and your chest plate, there's a groove right there. You'll feel it's kind of an empty, hollow spot. Okay, we rub that. See if I can. We rub that. And then the other side. And you can do this for as long as you want, but, you know, I would say 30 seconds would be plenty. Lymphatic gate number 4. Now remember, they're all going up now. Underneath your sternum. Okay, put your fingers in and be gentle because, you know, these can be very sensitive and we don't want you hurting yourself. So go to where you might feel a little bit of pain. Okay, we're going to do a deep belly breath through the nose. And then we're going to exhale and push. And we're going to work that. We're going to go right down around the belly button. And you may feel your electrical system, like in your shoulders and through your body, you may feel those start to come to life. Okay. Lymphatic gate number 5 is the groin. Okay. And we just tap that. Just be careful, be gentle. When we lay down at night, this is why it's so important to get your rest. When you lay down at night, the lower half of your body detoxes. During the day, upper half detoxes because we're always bending over and we're doing things, right? So, and lymphatic gate number 6 is behind the knee. So we use both hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We just opened our lymphatic gates. So the body is now able to flow. And then you add that, and you add the breath work, and all of a sudden the lymphatic system starts to come to life. And the lymphatic system is life. Think of the blood as the kitchen. This is Dr. Morse. Think of the blood as the kitchen and the lymphatic system as a bathroom. Well, cancers are a lymphoma. They're not in the blood, they're in the lymphatic system. And when it gets congested, like under the arms where your lymph nodes are, there's a massive collection of lymph nodes right here. Okay? The biggest one is in your armpit. When those back up and the acids start to back up, where do they back up? They back up all the way up through here. Okay? This is why when you have something that's dirty, you clean it with hydration. You clean it with water. You don't clean your car with dirty water. You don't clean your body with dirty water. So you have to know what you're washing the inside of your body with to cleanse it. And this movement helps that move back and forth, all that fluid move back and forth, and it's washing. And then the elimination channels come up and they remove it all to keep your body healthy, to keep your cells active, alive, keep that mitochondria. That's the engine. That's your heat, your internal heat in your body. So what does a cell do? It eats, it digests, and eliminates, just like you do. Well, it's eliminating into the lymphatic system of the bathroom, and it can't move. So if the lymphatic system is stuck in an area, the acids start to grow around the cell, and it starts to build a mucus layer around the cell to protect it from the acid. Well, if it gets thick enough and it's there long enough, the food, the hydration, and the nutrition can't get into the cell and it starts to get weak. It's literally suffocating, dying of thirst, and dying from lack of nutrition. Because we all know if those things happen to us, like as a human, there's no more food, there's no more water, we start to have a problem. Well, it's our cells that are actually having the problem and screaming for help. Well, we stopped listening to our body and started listening to the people who profit from our disease. And we have to break that spell, because it's what it is. It's a spell. I was saying earlier, a friend of mine had an issue and it didn't bother him. He went to see a doctor, and that doctor pointed out all those things and all the things that could go wrong. And the next day, he had every one of those symptoms. And it took him 3 days to back himself out of those symptoms, because he was able to collect his thoughts and go, wait a minute. I wasn't having any issues till I went to that doctor. But that is almost like hypnotism. Okay. I remember first time I did the cleanse, I did 10 days. I lost 20 pounds. My gums were a mess when I started. I had loose teeth, and it tightened up my gums. And like anything, if you do it too long, it can be an issue on the other side. And so I recommend 10 to 30 days. But if you can only do one, just do one, because you're giving your body that break from the solid food. Or another thing I recommend is do 32 ounces of the Master Cleanse every day along with your food, because it's cleansing. It's helping the digestive system. It's helping the body process properly. Because if something is dehydrated, take a sponge, for instance. It's hard as a rock. When you put it in water, it gets soft, and it actually functions. When it's dry and sitting on the counter, it doesn't function well. It doesn't function at all because it's dehydrated. Well, your body's no different. It's like making a fist, right? And you take that fist and you hold it tighter and tighter and tighter. Well, do you think you can get water, nutrition, and oxygen into this? These are your organs and glands. When they get swollen, when they get inflamed, it's like making a fist. And it goes on for months and years. And this hydration and this movement that we're talking about and this breath is opening those back up so that they can feed and they can hydrate and they can function properly. So it's really important to feel your body. When you inhale, energy flows where attention goes. So I had a kind of an industrial accident not too long ago, and it got all my fingers and this finger right here, and I have pictures. It cut this finger almost off, cut my nail in half. Okay. If you look at that nail, all I did was peroxide and vitamin E oil. And the nail grew back, took 10 weeks. But the first thing I did, it was still bleeding. I went in and I did a meditation, no pain pills, no nothing. Okay. When you breathe in through your nose and you focus on this and healing, okay, and it's like that energy will flow to that finger and help heal it. And then you exhale. And you exhale all the stress out. You exhale all of the frustration, the trauma. You exhale it out. Every emotion we have came in through our breath. And every emotion that you want to get rid of can go out through your breath. It's basically the only way to get rid of it. It's not the only, but it's the best. Okay? So when you're doing breath work, things may come up. And that's okay. Because you get to look at it and say, is this serving my higher good? And if it isn't, let it go, and let it go through your breath. So inhale, and something comes up and you go, is this serving my higher good? And if the answer is no, when you exhale it out. You tell it, get out of my body. You are not serving my higher good. And you exhale. And you keep doing that. Inhale. And you're saying, get out of my body. You are not serving my higher good. And the people that put those emotions there, they're still running your life. When I figured that out, I was like, I don't want these people running my life. They weren't even kind to me. They weren't good to me. They told me things that weren't true, right? And yet they're still in my head. So I had to get rid of them. And I got rid of them through the breath, because it was the breath that brought it in. When you get angry, we already went over that. When you get angry, you stop breathing. And it clogs the lymphatic system. It blocks the heart, separates up into the mind, right? Because you're thinking, I'm going to get revenge. And that's what all these movies are about. Hate and revenge and torture. And I mean, it's coming into TV. And I haven't had a TV in like 50 years, but, with the internet, there's movie clips on there, and it's just getting more and more and more violent. And what they're trying to do is start a civil war here. People are losing their homes and their whatever. All right. So that is the matrix. And we, as individuals, when we align with our heart and our breath, we clear ourselves and we stand in the middle of the storm. The storm is the media out here. And if we step into it without being balanced and understand that their purpose is to put people in fear. So as we step deeper and deeper into that, we get lost and we become more fearful. Well, to stand on our own and our own breath, it's almost impossible to get us out into the media, because nobody trusts them. It's getting that way. There is good science, and there is a science that's creating synthetic food, which is not good. And it's not that we can't have cooked food, because high energy foods like fruits, berries, melons will raise you to a height where you might not be able to connect with reality anymore. So we need cooked food or lower vibrational food to lower us back down. And we need to find that balance between too little and too much. And this holds our energy at a certain level and our health at a certain level. If we can't feel our body, we're healthy. And when you breathe and you get, like, I'll just say, something in the ribs that starts to get tight, well, it's a good idea to stretch that out. That fascia is like a spider web through our whole body, right? So let's do, this is a great breath to do. And there are levels to this, okay? So one of the things we're going to do is go up on our toes. But if you can only do that, or you can pretend that you're doing it, if you can't quite do that, over time you'll be able to do it. And if you can only move this much, that's all you move. The slower you move, the faster energy builds in the body, or chi, if you want to call it that. Okay. So this breath, we start in horse stance, our back straight. And if you can only get this far down in it, it's not about the depth, it's about the thought, because thoughts are things, right? So we think about getting in horse stance, right? And feet about shoulder width apart. And we start here and we inhale. And this movement, this inhale, should be the distance from here to here. When we get up here, this should be the full inhale. So let's then go up on our tiptoes. And if you can go up and stay there, just bounce. Because that bounce is sending vibration up through your bones. and it's strengthening your bones. It also, when we breathe into the bone marrow, and it helps produce red blood cells. All right, so we get up here, and then we come down like this, and the breath should end when our fingers touch down here. Okay, and then we inhale, and we exhale. And what we're doing is we're opening our rib cage. We're expanding it so the lungs can get more oxygen. And you can do this sitting in a chair too. It's hard to do laying on the floor. Our lungs are more towards our back. So when we're sitting in a chair at night watching TV and we're already shallow breathing, we're putting the sitting back puts pressure on the lungs, and they can't fill like they normally would if you were standing or sitting, because you can lean forward. So it's always important to remember that. So collagen, that's a big issue. So when we put our fingers right in next to our nostrils here, and we inhale, and you want to push pretty hard, and you want to just follow your cheekbone. And that should be a full inhale when you get here, okay? And then this help produce collagen. I'm pinching your jawline. This will help produce collagen too. And you can buy collagen supplements and things. Now, we have 6 energy meridians in the body. And if I'm taking too much time here, please, let me know. Yeah, we have 12 actually, 12 energy meridians in the body. 6 in the hands, 6 in the feet. And when we think about Queen singing their songs, we will rock you. What do? They go, you're activating all 12 meridians. So we have a routine that we do in class where we clap our hands together 9 times, and we're stamping our feet at the same time. 8, 9, and then we go to the inside of the elbows. Then we go under the armpit right here. And this sends shockwaves right in through, right to the heart. These are healing shockwaves. That was 9. Then we go right back here. We do 3 sets. And then we shake it out. Now, I didn't do 3 there, but all you can do is follow the video. And then we just shake it out. When the body is sick, it shakes. Why? Because it's trying to shake the dis-ease out of the body. So it's important to just shake your body, shake your hands. This is one that is fun too, and it help get rid of the wings. So we start with our hands open, and you'll find a spot where it'll shake the most for you. And then we don't make a fist. We just close our hands so that our fingers are touching our palm. And you feel a difference in the going up and down in the wing here. This will help tighten your arms up. Now I'm going to teach you a lion's breath. Lion's breaths are extremely important. most of the oxygen transfer into the blood happens in the bottom of the lungs. Well, the toxins that we breathe in are heavier than the oxygen, so they sink to the bottom of the lungs. So if you're having lung issues, a great herb is mullein. That's a fantastic herb for the lungs. It will help clean them out, okay? But this is called the lion's breath, and it will help clean out the toxins that are stuck in the bottom of the lungs. And to do this, we breathe in through the nose, tip our head back, smile. And then when I say lion's breath, exhale, we exhale. And a lot of people just, we stick our tongue all the way out and we exhale. And some people just stop at that, but I have a routine that I do, which supports the energy meridians for kidneys and lungs, and liver, excuse me. So, and the lungs are being worked too, but so we breathe in through the nose, tip our head back and smile. This releases endorphins. We hold. Lion's breath, exhale. And you go right into the kidneys back here and right back up the chest. This is like electrifying everything, it's turning everything on. And that's what's so important about it. So let's do another one here. And we usually do 3 of these, sometimes 5. Depends on the group that I'm working with and things. But inhale through the nose, head back, smile. Releasing those endorphins. Lion's breath, exhale. And this just turns everything on. And it's getting those toxins out, opening that throat, and it allows the lungs to get more oxygen to the blood. So those are really important. Everything I'm showing you here is like, it's taken me years to learn, but it's really, really important. Now this, for people who have a lot of scar tissue in their lungs, or a lot of lung issues, this is a very simple exercise. And there are people who've needed lung transplants that have done this for an hour a day. And in 3 months, their lungs are completely healed. Okay, so what we do is we stick our chin out. That's the exhale. And then we pretend there's a ball under our chin. And we bring it up. And then we exhale. So that is a great exercise to help the lungs. And mullein, I think it's Mullien. Mullein is an herb. And it's growing everywhere. All these herbs I'm talking about, they're all growing probably right outside your door. This one is for the kidneys. And we imagine that we're standing in a pool of perfectly calm water. And this is the inhale. And when we exhale, we just slowly bend down. And this is the exhale. And here we start to inhale. Okay. Again, the breath should match the movement. So when we exhale, should end right here. And then inhale. Inhale should end right here. And this will give you power like you would not believe. You know, Qigong will increase your energy tenfold. It'll give you the strength of 10 tigers. And then we exhale. And then we go to the other side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And as you put your arm into that water, just imagine it, because the mind doesn't know. You can feel the water dripping down your arm as you come up. This is for the kidneys. I might have done that one backwards, but that's okay. Anyway, we are experiencing things in life that are stealing our life. And it's done by design. And we have to learn to stand up inside ourselves, feel what's going on in our body. And it's not hard because it's usually pain and suffering that's involved in that. And figuring out how to step through that, because like I said, our body's like a petri dish, and what's good for me may not be good for you. Or that person over there, or that person over there. We're all different. So we have to find the combination for ourselves. And that's not a defeating thing. The most general I've found is live liquids, like a smoothie or whether it's a green or a fruit. They're not as digestible, or let's put it this way. A juice digests faster with less process. A smoothie will take a little bit longer to digest, but it's still great because it's kind of pre-digested too. And it takes less energy to process it, leaving more energy to heal the body, to get you through your day. And skipping a meal, we're just trained to overeat. And a lot of our food is designed to be very addictive. So cutting those out and finding something that will pull us back into our own truth is extremely important. And learning to get those emotions that are causing dis-ease in our body, because that's almost all of it, is dis-ease is caused by the emotions that we have swallowed. We breathed in, and it lodged. Depression is in the lungs. Like I said before, anger is in the liver. Being miffed, let's say, or upset, being pissed off, basically, is your kidneys. Fright, your knees. Guilt for women. I haven't found out where it is yet in men. I'm looking for that now. But guilt, uterus. And so many things are happening around us that are causing guilt and fear and anxiety. And anxiety is another one. That's a low air situation. Getting those endorphins to release simply by tipping your head back and smile. When you tip your head back and smile, try to have a negative thought. When you got a full belly breath. I mean, it's incredible how powerful our bodies are once we get to figure it out and tune them to us. Some of these breaths might not feel comfortable to people, but there's a breath out there. There's like 400 different breaths: in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the nose. This is one, and you probably should be sitting down for it. Most people that are watching this probably are. Okay. This is called breath of fire, and it helps get rid of anxiety and fear and things. Okay. And it's in through the nose. Okay. We breathe out through the nose, and the nose will automatically fill the lungs back up. We don't have to breathe in. Okay. And they'll fill back up. So this opens up a lot of the lymphatic pathways too. And when you're doing this, it's good to rub your neck, because there's a lot of lymph nodes down along the side of your neck. And it helps pull that down into that culvert, that gate number 1. And what happens when you get toxins building in your head, plaque? You can't communicate anymore because all information is out here in the universe because we're a frequency, we're a radio station. And it's when you get plaque on your skull, you can't communicate like you used to. You forget things because you can't go retrieve the information. This is why the new mind scans don't even touch your head anymore. They used to have a net they put on you. Well, now they don't even need to do that because you're broadcasting all the time, and that's how the universe is responding to you. So if you change your story, that story will start to come back to you, reflect to you. We have a book of life, right? When we open that baby up, and we've been writing it our whole life. And if we're sick and we're depressed and we're all this stuff, turn the page and start writing a new story. Literally, write down. I may be sick now, but with everything I do, I know my body is healing because that's what the body does, is it heals. It can go, and we're in duality, so it can get sick and it can get well. It happens all the time. But it takes oxygen and hydration and nutrition, movement, rest, grounding ourselves to the earth to get rid of that discharge, electrical discharge. I mean, think about your house is grounded. When a bolt of lightning hits it, it goes over the house and down into the earth. When you're sitting in front of a computer and you're not grounded, all that radioactive stuff is coming in and it's penetrating your body. If you get a grounding mat and you put your feet on it, your bare feet or your stocking feet, and you're grounded, all that EMF stuff that's coming to you is going over your body and down into that mat and out to the earth, just like the house. So a lot of people have EMF problems. It's because they're not grounded. So that's how important all this stuff is. And it's simple. It's free. It's just there waiting for us to take your shoes off and go for a walk outside on sand or gravel or grass or even concrete, because it has calcium in it and that is conductive. So it's not as good, but it will ground you, but not like being on Mother Earth or being in the lake and putting your feet on the bottom. That's how important it is to keep our mind clear, our heart and mind connected, so that when it comes out through the voice, because the cells are listening, the heart is listening. We're not listening to the heart. That's the problem. It's broken. And it's broken with emotion. And everything that went in it came in through the breath and the sight. But when you see something, you go, right? That can lodge in your body somewhere. And if it's fear, it's in the kidneys. If it's fright, it's in the knees. If it's guilt, it's in the uterus. I mean, it just goes round and round, right? And they're all forms that are lack of oxygen because we freeze. When we get scared, we freeze and we don't breathe properly. So when you master your breath, you master your emotions. When you master your emotions, you master your health. Because you're not pulled over here and then over there and all these different things going on. Half the stuff we don't even know if it is going on. We just see it on the news. You know, and Hollywood is producing movies to just scare the crap out of us. And they're doing it on purpose. It's getting more and more violent, less and less balanced. And the mind doesn't know the difference. So that's why when we imagine and we're doing the tranquil water and we're coming down, right? And these are things that keep us balanced, that calm the body down, that turn on the parasympathetic, rest, digest, and heal. You'll sleep better. This is 2 breaths I'll show you. So this particular breath, I had a friend from Vietnam. He hasn't been able to sleep well all those years ago, right? He hasn't slept. So I taught him, breathe through the nose. And when you exhale, this is laying in bed, right? And when you exhale, give your body permission to relax and go to sleep. Told him to do 10. He's never made it past 5. He sleeps all night. Because it's usually a lack of oxygen, because there's fear based there. This is another one. One of my friends started using. I've had 2 people, including me, use it. And it is to fake yawn. Lay in bed, give your body permission to relax, and just yawn. And it won't be long, you'll be asleep. Because it's producing melatonin. So, and you're bringing air into the body, right? And you're telling the body to relax. You're giving it permission to go to sleep. Most people, their minds are racing. They're not giving themselves permission to go to sleep. There are countries where they spend like a half an hour, 45 minutes, just getting ready to go to bed, to go to sleep. So they're programming themselves for that. And when they go in, they go right to sleep. I've always gone right to sleep. But I hope some of this has been helpful. I mean, I could go on for days. And I hope everybody's still there, and that they got a lot of benefit from the talk today. I mean, the master cleanse, you can't beat it. The lemons are conductive. I wish I had my light here. I don't have it. It's in a warehouse. Maybe sometime if we do another podcast, I can bring the light, and I'll show you what happens when you put man-made sugar in with a live liquid, because it destroys it. And that's your adrenals. You watch it go right. I have a light bulb, and you watch that light bulb dim, and then it'll try to come back. But that's poison. And the body has to deal with it. And what's it doing is kicking the adrenals into passing gear to give you the energy to go do what you want to do while it's dealing with that poison. And then when it's dealt with it, all of a sudden you go into a lull because the adrenals drop back down. And what do? Have another energy bar or another energy drink or another. And if you do that long enough, you're going to burn your adrenals out. So,
Gary, you have been amazing, like usual.
right. Thank
And we did learn a lot. I definitely did. And we all very much enjoy it. I do have a question, and that is,
Yeah.
I mean, the master cleanse, it's absolutely simple. But now
Yes.
there are a lot of people is, how do I start? For a lot of people coming from a standard diet and go into a master cleanse, and what I learned 10 years ago was you drink a glass like every 2 hours. And but should people really jump into it or ease into it?
It's going to depend on the person. It's kind of like going for a cold plunge. Some people takes them a long time to get in the water because it's a mindset. So I usually start people out that are really sick to do 32 ounces with their regular diet, just to start getting it in there, to start getting the body accumulated or adapt to the cleanse. And then we go to 64 ounces, maybe, and we skip a meal. And we just ease into it that way. If you're going to do a full cleanse, every 4 days that you're on the cleanse, you should prepare 1 day to go back to real food or like a soup or even a smoothie, just to start the enzymes working again, because you've flattened the acids in the stomach. And I recommend sipping it. all day long. I don't care if it takes all day to drink the 32 ounces. But with every sip, you say, with every sip, my body gets stronger. My dis-ease gets weaker. My mind gets clearer. My muscles get more toned. Because your body's listening, and it will start producing that. So is the universe. It'll start sending those messages and those things back to you, and it will help so much. You know, that so that's what I usually recommend. If you're going to go on a 10-day cleanse, because that's what I did the first time, and I had amazing results. I also went from from double vision glasses from when I was 6 years old. 7th day in, I have not worn glasses since, and that was in around 99, 2000. So it was 24, 25 years ago.
Would you say that the master cleanse can actually be stronger than a plain water fast?
It's not as water fast can be quite dangerous. It takes a certain person to be able to do a water cleanse because you're not getting any food at all, and your body's living on the dark maple syrup.
Okay, because that was another question is about the maple syrup. What is the purpose of adding the maple syrup other than for taste?
Minerals.
Because we know it's highly processed.
Yeah, it still has minerals in it, though. It'll
Right.
still light and light. Because
Yeah.
everything is about conductivity in my world. If your body's not conductive, then it's resisting somewhere in the body, whether it's the kidneys or the lungs or the liver or whatever it is. Okay. If it's experiencing dis-ease, inflammation, and pain, then it's not getting the energy that it needs. It's more matter than wave. It's more matter than energy. And energy creates matter. Well, the thicker and the more dense it gets, the less energy can get into it. So then it starts to fail even more. It's like, now if I went over this, but cancers are lymphomas. Well, they're in the lymphatic system. And the lymphatic system is the bathroom and the blood is the kitchen. Well, they're going into the kitchen trying to fix what's wrong in the bathroom, and it doesn't work. That's the biggest problem with cancer treatment today is it's a lymphatic issue. So when you clean and move the lymph through breath and proper hydration and nutrition and live liquids, all of a sudden these channels will open, and we can open them manually, but it will open them like the cleaver's herb. As it starts to open those things, tumors will go away. My friend Jim had tumor on his liver and his kidney when I came up from Rhode Island, and he had COPD. So I said, how long you schedule surgery and chemo and radiation and all that? I said, how long before your surgery? He said, 6 weeks. I said, okay. So we get 6 weeks to straighten this out. And he goes, oh yeah, right. I said, no, I'm serious, man. 8 weeks, the tumors were completely gone. And in 12 weeks, the COPD was, I would say, not gone because he still smokes, but much more manageable. Much more manageable. And if he'd quit smoking, we could get rid of the COPD too. Because they're things.
Yeah. I wanted to do input on the maple syrup. What I wrote in the comments was that maple syrup, even though it is highly processed, obviously it has to be really boiled down for it to become the maple syrup. But our bodies actually really do digest the maple syrup very well. So
yeah,
I know a lot of people do talk about that with being fully raw, but the maple syrup, I think, is one of those ones that are okay pretty much, I would say, all the time. But it also gives us the sugar for the glucose for our bodies and our brains to function off of during that time too.
Right. And I wouldn't go over 40 days. That's why I recommend from 1 day to 15 days. You can go beyond that. That's not a problem. But being on something too long, like cooked food or even a live liquid. I remember Dr. Morse saying he was on oranges for what, 2 years? And he
Yeah, it
was
was 6, 7 months, I thought.
okay. But he was elevated. His energy was elevated so much he'd go back to cooked food and bring himself back down. He wasn't able to function that well in this reality because his energy was so high. And it's like eating too much cooked food. Your energy gets so low that you're not able to function. Well, the same thing can happen on the other side of that. And we need to find that balance for us, for our body, our digestive systems. And just because something's good for you doesn't mean it's good for me or that person over there or that one over there. That doesn't really matter. What matters is what happens when you put it in your body. I mean, I had Nancy come in. They carried her in from a hospice bed, and she'd been hemorrhaging from her lungs for 14 years. This finger had collapsed onto her hand, and you could not pry it up. And she had no energy. I mean, she was in a hospice bed. And in 5 classes, they kicked her out of hospice. And we were doing the master cleanse, we were doing herbs, the breathing. In 5 classes, they kicked her out of hospice and took her support away. And by the 7th class, she was driving herself back and forth. And I have videos of her. In 6 weeks, she passed her 3-wheel motorcycle permit test.
Wow.
Now, all I am is a guide. If you don't do the work, you don't get the results.
But that's all we are, Gary. We are the guides, helping people on the journey. I do have another question before, because we're way over an hour and a half already. There is, you probably know, there is an other modified version on the Master Cleanse. I think they call it a Master Cleanser. And they do enemas in salt water flushes and all that. And there was a question, do you need to do the salt water flushes or enemas while doing a cleanse? I heard it helps flush out metabolic waste. Well, I want to give you my take before I ask yours, Gary.
Okay.
Please do not do salt water flushes if an enema is needed and only if it is needed, and don't make it in a daily practice, because I know quite a few people who cannot have a bowel movement without any enemas anymore, because it's like it's no longer working. And a salt water flush, well, that pretty much scares me. So I'm very much against it, and I wanted to get this out.
Yeah, I don't do saltwater flushes, and I have done enemas, but not for very long. You know what I mean? Not long periods of time, because it will. This is the thing about certain foods and vitamins and things like testosterone, or this is a big problem. Soy, estrogen, right? It's the highest form of estrogen. And they're putting it in everything. And as men, you get too high in estrogen, you get boobs and bellies, and your temper is on edge all the time. So this is a big problem. And right next to it, right next to soy, is hops and beer. See, beer used to be made out of yarrow, an herb called yarrow, and it was medicinal. And then they switched to hops. And This is why you see a lot of guys with big bellies that drink beer. So we have to be careful of what's in our food. Yeah, it's hard to go into, and they're feeding soy to the cattle. They're feeding them high fructose corn syrup. They're feeding them a lot of things. So you got to know your farmer these days, who's raising your animals, who's raising your plants, what they're using on those plants. That's for people that eat meat. And vegans, you get glyphosate, and we have an 11.5 pH water that will emulsify oil. So if you take grapes, and I can send you these pictures, and you dump 11.5 water on them, let them soak in it. When that water comes out, it's a yellow green color, because that's the color of the glyphosate. It pulls the glyphosate right off in the fruit, berries and melons and vegetables. So it's important to know that there are certain things out there. Water will do anything. Once you understand water and that it can be charged, it's grounding, it's hydrating. This water that we have has a smaller molecular structure. A lot of the water that we're buying and drinking has fluoride and pesticides, and and I worked at a treatment plant. They do not take out any medications, any synthetic meds. So you're getting statins, and you're getting chemo, and you're getting radiation. I don't know if the radiation would last in the water, but the chlorines and all the stuff, they're not taking any of that out. It's coming in the water, and we're drinking the same water that the dinosaurs drank. It's just a constant circle. It's a loop, it rains down and goes through the earth and gets evaporated back up, and it's just a loop. Well, they've interrupted that loop to put in all this stuff to make the water seem drinkable. And like millions of people are drinking it. But millions of people having issues too. And doesn't mean it's the same ones. I'm just saying the cleaner we keep our water, the better. And so we use a filter outside of the machine that makes the ionized water. And the ionized water has a little bit of electrolyte mixture in it. And it goes through these plates, and it filters everything out of the water. But it's fully charged, and it'll hold it. It's like a fruit. It'll hold a full charge for a little bit, and then it starts to deplenish because it's starting to rot. And the water that we have, the 9.5, will stay 9.5 even if it's not fully charged anymore. But if you can, what you make, try to use it in 3 days, and then make some more, and try to drink it in 3 days, and you're fully charging your body, because the water is charged, and it's ionized water, so it's coming from the, it's like the ionized atmosphere. We're standing on the bottom of the largest ocean in the world, or the largest water supply in the world, which is the atmosphere. And that's part of what turns on our electrical system when we breathe it in. Well, water is connecting. It's going into the lungs, and it's going into the blood and into the heart, and boom, the heart starts. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's fascinating, actually.
It's all very fascinating. Right now, I have a really bad storm going over my place, and there are tornado watches. I am going to end the show, and I'm really sorry to do that, because we need to have you on more often. We can talk about all of this.
Yeah, when I get deeper into methylation and how that process happens in the gut, I'd love to talk about that, because that's the breakdown and the buildup of the body right in that one system.
And that is extremely important, and we know all the struggles that people have, so it is needed. Okay, Gary, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here and explain everything so well. And
Oh, thank you.
I made a whole bunch of notes actually.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Gary, thank
for
you
having
so
me
much.
on.
And thank you everyone in the chat.
Yes, thanks everyone for being here. Love you guys. And till the next time. Bye-bye.